All right, girl, so I got another one for you. And this is probably going to defy every single thing as a woman you've ever learned about food and how to eat, and how it's actually going to contradict what your body needs in order to have, pretty skin. And it involves fat in your diet. So let's take a breath and let's work through this material together. And I'm here to tell you, both as a registered nurse, but also as a muscular development coach, and as a woman who really likes to put forth, the best face towards the world, is that your body actually requires fat. It requires it. Okay, now I'm going to give you a little bit of history, and then we're going to dive into, what are some great choices for you that are going to help you to feel good and look good and, let you rest at night with clean conscience that you're actually doing the right thing. Okay, so quickly what I would like to do is I'd like to step you back through what happened in healthcare over the past 25 years. And we're going to dovetail this into how we got to where we are today with nutrition, and why, your trainer or myself or whomever you're working with on a professional basis is making recommendations for you to have fat in your diet. Okay, so what I'm going to ask for you to do is I'm going to ask for you to simply receive the information and not try to compare it to what you've learned in the past about nutrition. Okay, because it's just going to take you on a completely unnecessary learning tangent, and it's going to cause you to be confused. So if you would just kind of like pretend you're from California and just, be the sponge. All right, so let's step through what happened in healthcare. And I'm going to tell you, as a registered nurse, I graduated nursing school in 1995. And at that time, my very first job was in cardiology. Okay, so stuff involving the heart. And I worked at a medical center where everybody who was admitted to my unit was super, super sick. Like, they had massive heart problems, and they had a lot of other medical problems associated with it. And so, long story short, the people that I was taking care of, most of them actually needed a heart transplant. Like, that's how advanced their heart disease was. And so we would see them all the time. They were always in and out of the hospital with heart failure and all sorts of different problems. And so, we became like a factory of people coming in, and then they'd go home. And when we would send these people home, we would send them home with discharge instructions to have a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet. And then it was just like, bye, see ya. And it was during that time where there was a lot of research going into cardiovascular health. And this was when angiograms became a standard of care. They weren't like the scary thing that all of our older relatives died, having this procedure. It became a standard of care, and then it quickly advanced into being able to repair and, help your heart vessels inside be healthier and open them up with stents and stuff like that, rather than having people go through bypass surgery. So there was a lot of money being pumped into cardiac care during that time, and a lot of really great treatment modalities that came out. Now, one of the things that they were researching was the link between cholesterol and heart disease. And so what everybody did suddenly was they put the brakes on the fact that you shouldn't have any cholesterol in your diet, because if you don't take any in, then your body shouldn't produce it. And at the same time, you shouldn't have any fat in your diet, because fat probably makes you fat, and a high-fat diet probably makes you have more cholesterol, this, that, and the other. Now, some of that is true, but what you need to know is actually most of the cholesterol in your body actually comes from your body. I think it's only 15%, which comes from diet. So at that point in time in the 1990s, what happened was we were sending our patients home on these low-fat, low-cholesterol diets. Okay, well then if they go home, what exactly are they supposed to eat? Okay, because now suddenly things that were in nature, healthy things that are fats, avocados, extra virgin olive oil, almonds, almond butter, those things, suddenly they were just a giant no. okay? Because it covered all fats. It wasn't just like specific to like bacon or something like that. So during that time, there was a lot of push from the medical community on how do we get our cardiac patients healthy. Now, the whole entire time, there's been women who have been dieting who know that if you cut fats out of your diet, what ultimately happens is you lower your caloric intake, and just because you starve yourself, you eventually do release fat from your body because, well, your body needs energy. Okay, so there's like two different things which are happening at the same time. Now, in order to appease the dieters of no-fat lifestyle and to appease these people who have been created by the medical community of having no-fat diet, the food industry started making foods which were fat-free. Remember? Maybe you're not old enough. I don't know how old you are, but that's actually what started happening. And in order to have some sort of food, you had to have a different, what we call macronutrient in there. So you either have a protein, you have a carbohydrate, or you have a fat, or you have some chemically engineered, like one molecule away from a piece of plastic, basically. And so what started happening was, instead of having fat in the foods, we started having more carbs. And then that became like this crazy cycle of people having more carbohydrates in their diet. And ultimately, they were thinking they were doing the right thing by not having fat, but they were grossly hungry because carbs don't last really long, especially processed ones, in your body. And they were hungry. So they ended up gaining a shitload of weight, not because of fat, but because they had to have some sort of energy in their body. And that's what they were being attracted to, the marketing of no fat, but what they didn't pay attention to was what was actually in the foods. And then what we actually started to see was America was actually getting fatter and sicker, and we were having way, way, way more advanced heart issues in younger age groups, just from the switch out of moving to a no fat diet. I know. So what I'm here to tell you is that a lot of the misnomers have come from, marketing, like food industry, but it's been backed also by the medical community and the agencies which fuel like the dieting and like the beauty industry. And that's why you are the way that you are, because you've simply just been taught the wrong information. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to like move through some of this stuff to give you the right information so that you can make that mental transference and start actually fueling your body with the things it requires to be youthful and vibrant and full of energy and strong and high performance and keep your overall body fat stores down. Okay, but that's just a little bit of history for you. I hope that was helpful.